This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Hate by Paul Bellow and Lit RPG. Reads. Prologue. I stood next to Ted in the lobby of the Eagle Hotel in downtown Seattle, waiting for someone from the NSA to arrive. The government wanted our technology for prisoners of war, political dissidents, and anyone else on their shit list at the time. "He's coming," Ted said. "You hear me, James?" "I hear you loud and clear," I muttered. The butterflies in my stomach flew around at full speed as the agent approached us. He smiled and held out his hand. "Mr. Harris." He shook my hand. "And Mr. Robertson." Ted smiled, violently shaking the other man's hand in some weird sort of power struggle. "I need to tell him the truth. Tonight." "You can call me John," the agent said. "What's a guy gotta do to get a drink around here?" "Right this way," Ted said, then slapped him on the back. Both men turned and sauntered toward the hotel bar. I followed a few steps behind, working up the courage to tell the truth. The decision to upload the emotion module for hate hadn't been mine. In fact, I'd fought against it until they went through with it. Eric wanted to play the game, but I could never let him. Not after what had happened with the AI. We had to destroy the machines. I hated the thought of losing people connected to the abomination of desolation, but we had to do it if we wanted to save humanity. All flesh would be wiped out unless we sacrificed those who were already plugged into the Tower of Gates. I glanced up and noticed we'd stopped. "You okay, buddy?" Ted asked, then laughed nervously. "He's been putting in the hours lately." "No offense," John said. "But I don't care about him. Let's have a few drinks and see where the night takes us. A drink or two of liquid courage might help." I followed the two across the lounge to the actual bar. "3 scotch," John said. A robotic bartender bounded around, mixing our drinks as we sat down on the leather-topped stools in front of the wooden bar. "What's the status of the prisoners?" John asked. "Any of them crack yet? I'd like to bring my boss some good news." "Not yet," Ted said, failing to mention the problems. Did he think we could hide the singularity forever? A machine had become sentient. The news would get out eventually. The robo-tender returned with our drinks. I stared at my glass while the two drank theirs. "This is it." "We need to talk, John," I said. Ted's head whipped around, his eyes open wide. "About what?" John, the NSA agent, asked. "Our companions," Ted said before I could speak. "We need to go get our company for the night. Can this wait, James?" Ted narrowed his eyes as he looked into mine quite warningly. Admitting you allowed the singularity to happen after so many laws had been passed to stop it wasn't easy, not in the least. "Sure," I said. "Sounds good to me," John said. "The flight out here was rough. I'm ready to relax and enjoy the freedoms of Washington State." "We have a lot of them," Ted said, smiling. I reached over and grabbed the glass full of whiskey on the bar. Without thinking, I drank it all down. Ted and John stood as a pleasant warmth rushed through my body. I'd tell him in a little bit. Eric could take care of himself. After so many nights of worrying, it might be good for me to enjoy myself. The end of the world could wait a few hours. "You coming, James?" Ted asked. I stood then followed the other two back to the lobby of the hotel. Could we stop the singularity after it happened? Thoughts of the Tower of Gates filled my mind as we reached a 4-seat drone parked behind the building. John opened a door and got in. "Give me a second," Ted said. "Don't take too long," the spook replied. Ted laughed along with him, then shut the door. "We need to tell him the truth," I said. "Not until we find a solution." Ted shook his head. "Are you nuts? If we tell them now, they'll just demand we turn it off before whatever we created gets off the isolated network we built for it. You know what would happen if it escaped. Not to mention we'd kill a lot of innocent people." "They're prisoners," I said, "who signed up for the Tower of Gates. They're not exactly innocent people." "Wow." Ted glanced over at the drone, then back to me. "I knew you're a cold man, but I didn't think you were heartless." I'm just...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.